Hello everyone, my name is Rochelle Innocent and I'm the founder and CEO of Project Purpose. Welcome to our YouTube channel. Our community is focused on fostering the intellectual and character development in children. We do this through our parent-child workshops that focus on 4 themes: autonomy, self-efficacy, compassion, and self-concept, in order to cultivate grit, perseverance, and resilience in each child. Our overarching mandate is to renew and rebuild families, communities, and relationships. Our YouTube platform provides us with an opportunity to have discussions on topics that relate to families, communities, and relationships with ourselves as well as with others, with a primary focus on mental health and education. More precisely, the way that the institutions of mental health and education have played a role and currently play a role in our societies at large. Our discussions and debates provide us with an opportunity to think critically about what needs to change within these structures in order for us to live up to our bold slogan: support, protect, and empower each child through youth-focused development, better known as leadership in juvenescence. We also write thought pieces on subjects that relate to families, communities, and relationships on our webpage, so please do feel free to check out our blogs after this video. As is the YouTube convention, please do subscribe, hit that post notification bell so that you're aware of every time we post, and of course, if you like our content and you want to keep the conversation going, like, comment, and share this video. Let's get into it. Hello, welcome back to the channel, and to those of you who are new, welcome. I'm really happy to have you here. For those who don't know, this channel focuses on discussions that revolve around education, mental health, as well as wellness. And this week our focus is on mental health. Now, last week things got a little intense, I will admit, as I talked about some topics in relation to education. Please do check those out if education is a subject that's important to you. But I am very passionate about these subjects. I know that I definitely forewarned everyone that I am an intense human being. So please don't be alarmed. I mean, I tell you, I'm a barrel of laughs. I'm a lot of fun as well. I guess there's never a dull moment with me. Let's just put it that way. And I thought that let's change the tone a little bit for this week as we cover topics in relation to mental health and keep it light and fun. I want you to see the light, fun side of Rochelle, of myself. So I thought that this would be a great opportunity to cover 7 ways to maintain our mental health. Different attitudes, values, habits that I completely, that I live by. And who knows, if this video does well, we might make it a series. But I thought long and hard about what these 7 would be, and I figured that these are my 7 non-negotiables. So these are the 7 things that I do in order to kind of sustain and maintain my mental health that I really do not stray away from. And I figured, why not share these with you? I'd love to hear some of the habits and some of the attitudes or values or different things that you engage in specifically for the purpose of preserving your mental health as well. Please do leave a comment, send me an email. I love to have you engage with me on a very light yet insightful topic. All right, so let's get started with our countdown. So I chose 7 non-negotiables. And as you can see, I'm wearing a fairly bold shirt. So don't compromise. And I guess if I didn't qualify this, one would think, okay, well, I get a sense of why she's single if she doesn't believe in compromising. And I have to poke fun at myself because it probably is partially true. It's probably partially the reason why I'm definitely still single. But this for me is a mental health non-negotiable, and it's number 7 on my list today. And I want to qualify it as don't compromise on the big ticket items in your life. So it's not just don't compromise on, on like the little things that at the end of the day don't have a whole lot of significance attached to them. I'm happy to compromise on, where we go to have brunch. I mean, that's a subject I'll compromise on. But in terms of my career aspirations, that's definitely not something I have any, I have no threshold to compromise on my career aspirations, on my dreams, on my goals. These are things that are, for me, they're too significant, they're too tied and attached to my sense of happiness, my sense of fulfillment and satisfaction, for me to think it wise to compromise on these things. I find that in life that when we get to a fork in the road where compromise is one of the options, the other one is sacrifice. And I am someone who is way more willing to sacrifice, to stay the course for something that I know I truly want, because I know that like the obstacles or what comes up along that way, for me it's worth it if it means that the end result is that I'm closer or I've attained the thing that really matters to me. And I see compromise as a half blended smoothie, you know? Why drink a half blended smoothie? Like, the flavors aren't even all put together. It's not an enjoyable experience. It's very textured. I would much rather hold off on eating the smoothie until it's completely blended and the way that I like it. And that's how I see compromise. I think that having, a lukewarm sort of outcome and something that's not satisfactory to both parties is not the way that I want to live my life. So I'm happy to sacrifice so that at some point I get what I'm looking for. And if that means I hold off on what I want and wait a little bit longer before I achieve it, then that's fine. But compromise for me is not something that I find in the long run is something that contributes in a positive way to one's mental health. So again, I qualified it. These are the big ticket life items. I mean, pizza toppings, happy to compromise on that. I mean, but it has to be a gluten-free, vegan, plant-based pizza, because that's my lifestyle. That's the diet that I've chosen for myself. Love watching movies. Won't compromise on horror movies though, because I'm not interested in having night terrors for the next 3 months. I'm much too open-minded to watch movies that terrify me. And I'm someone who trembles with fear. Like, when you read in books trembling with fear and you're like, oh, I wonder what that looks like. I'm someone like, when I am very afraid, my whole body just starts trembling. And it's a truly unenjoyable experience. And to those of you who like being scared, kudos to you. I like to be happy and to laugh. I like to watch movies for, the comedic output. I don't like to watch movies that terrify me. Nope. Any case, that's number 7. Let's move along. So number 6 is listen to your feelings. And this is something, honestly, I've learned the hard way so many times over. Sometimes your gut is telling you something and it is very hard to justify that sense or that feeling because you don't have anything tangible to sort of weigh it against. And I've learned through the years that my gut is never wrong when it comes to how I feel in certain settings and in certain situations. So number 6, as by way of maintaining and preserving our mental health, is listening to your gut, listening to your intuition. And of course, some of what triggers emotions is related to unconscious bias, and definitely, there's different training and different modules that are available to help you reduce the probability that it's unconscious bias that is being triggered, so that that if you're getting a feeling, an emotional sort of signal, that means you need to listen to it. Be a hero when it comes to your, especially in social settings. If you're in a social setting and you don't feel comfortable, you feel kind of off, or you feel a little bit out of place, it's not you. It's definitely the environment that you're in that it's not jiving. And I've tried to force myself in settings or in environments where I just really didn't feel comfortable. And I've learned that it's better for my mental health to just opt out of those spaces. I have nothing to prove to myself. I have nothing to prove to those individuals. Nothing against them either. But if something's not sitting right, I've learned better to just trust my gut, trust my feeling, my intuition, instead of learning the hard way. Because I find that anytime I've ignored my gut and ignored my feelings, I've learned the hard way moving forward. And again, there's unconscious bias training to help you if it is something that is rooted in, prejudice. But if it is the case that, you're a female, such as myself, walking down a dark alley, and you see a figure and you can't even really make out the features and everything in you tells you to run, my viewpoint is just run. You know, I believe in prevention over cure, so why not just listen to your gut? Number 5 on my list of things to maintain our mental health is sometimes choose mischief over manners. I mean, sometimes we have ourselves under such a tight leash by way of meeting societal expectations that, you know, there's parts of ourselves we don't let out to play. And sometimes it's the suppressing those parts of our personalities and those parts of ourselves that kind of create bigger issues down the line. So for me, like when the stakes are low and, you know, having fun isn't gonna really bite you in the butt, have fun, you know? Be disagreeable. Don't be the best version. Don't feel like you are obligated to be the best version of yourself all the time. Sometimes, you know, we just don't want to be our higher selves. Sometimes, you know, we want to be, you know, we want to hold people accountable. And sometimes, you know, we want to just say no because we want to maintain our space and our boundaries. So I believe, or sometimes, you know, mischief over manners isn't necessarily about being disagreeable. It can also be like just having fun, doing something a little bit foolish, you know, just living in the moment from time to time. Very mischievous. I mean, I like to pull pranks. I like, you know, I like laughing. I like doing little things that like bring up a laugh here and there. I love thought experiments, and sometimes, you know, on a date, whether I'm having fun or not, I would throw out like, I would like, you know, let's bring up a thought experiment that's kind of twisted, just to see how they, you know, would think their way through it. And I do that strictly for my own entertainment. And you know, it's not with the purpose of making others uncomfortable. I don't think mischief over manners is about, you know, encroaching on other people's right to have peace within their lives. Just about having fun and like allowing yourself to like live fully as the flawed human being that we are, that you are, and that I am. I'm completely comfortable with the fact that I'm not perfect all the time. I have no inclination to behave perfectly in every situation. Like sometimes it's nice to just, you know, let your hair down, so to speak, and just have fun. So number 5 is definitely mischief over manners. Number 4 on my list is live and let live. This is essentially my value system. Everything that I do and don't do really has this in mind. And even the things that trigger me are in relation to this. I'm someone, you know, you do you, I do me. Unless, you know, like I have like some clear guardrails to this. Like, you know, it's not okay if, you know, you're engaging in criminal behavior or, you know, exploiting, harming children, elderly, vulnerable populations, or animals, or trying to harm our environment. But outside of those, I hope that's not a lot, but outside of that, like live and let live. Why feel the need to police the actions and values of other people? Like better to just live your life fully and like focus on your thing fully. And so long as someone's behavior isn't, you know, hurting you or encroaching on your need for freedom or your need for space, I think everyone is much happier if we live and let live. Like if I have a certain lifestyle, it's not hurting anybody, then why feel the need to, you know, bend my behavior to your will? I truly don't understand that. And I find that everyone is happier. I mean, I think everyone is more, I think we're happier to be around people who let us be who we are in that moment. And you don't feel inclined to police our behavior arbitrarily. So live and let live is definitely number 4 in maintaining my mental health. You know, focusing on my goals and the things that I would like to do, and not paying so much attention to someone else and what they're doing and, you know, how they're going about it, so long as, you know, within the guardrails, of course. So, the third tip for mental health is learning something new. Sometimes if you're in a rut, or if you have writer's block, or if you feel like you're not moving forward on something, it means pivot, redirect your attention and your energy, and learn something different. And now, like, there's so many learning resources available, like anywhere, like at your fingertips, that you can learn anything. And for me, like if I have writer's block, then that means I'm going to learn something that has absolutely nothing to do with writing. If I am someone who, if I'm trying to build something and I feel like I'm going to go crazy with like the IKEA instructions, then you know what, maybe I'm gonna go cook something or find a different recipe on Pinterest and cook something new. It doesn't have to be something overly complicated, but sometimes something that really fuels your mental health is just engaging in an activity that requires some intellectual effort that has absolutely nothing to do with where you typically put your time and energy. So the third tip and trick by way of maintaining one's mental health for me is definitely learning. So number 2 on my list of things that maintain one's mental health is, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, movement. Movement is definitely a crucial aspect to maintaining and sustaining one's mental health. You have natural endorphins in your body just ready to be activated with a little bit of movement, and that movement can be anything. It can be a walk, it can be a dance party. I mean, Fruit by Marina, best song ever to have a solo dance party to. You heard it here. And there's also this show on Netflix called Plan Coeur, and I think in English it's called The Hookup Plan. And it is produced, made in France, and it was one of my favorite shows when I was living in France, and I think it's still on Netflix. And they have this one song, Close to Me, by Frédéric Magnon, and I love that song. That's like my solo, my solo jam. So anytime I feel like, especially during these times that I need to like slow dance with myself, I definitely will do it. To Close to Me by Frédéric Magnon. I'll leave the links down below if you want to check out the jams that I jam to, or a workout. And again, like movement is movement. There's no partiality by way of the types of movement that you do. You just want to focus on releasing those endorphins. So find a workout that you love, that you like, and definitely get moving. If you have a movement or a different activity that you suggest, please do leave a comment down below. I would love to hear it. And if you're still here, leave a like. It really helps out and it lets me know that you're still engaged. The last tip that I have for you today, and it's the most important. So this one is one of my definite non-negotiables by way of maintaining and sustaining my mental health, and that's respecting my boundaries. For me, respecting my own boundaries is an expression of self-love. So in my life, I've learned that the only people who have an issue with respecting your boundaries are those who have ulterior motives and who have something that they are hoping to gain by breaching them. So I think that I'm very fair about this. Like, I'm someone who's completely comfortable vocalizing what my boundaries are once or twice, and then I'm done. I'm sort of done with that relationship. And why is this? Why am I so rigid about respecting my boundaries? It's because I love myself. And not a lot of people say it, and some people find that it's awkward to say it so kind of cavalierly, but I have a very healthy relationship with myself, and I'm my ride or die, and I'm not going to allow myself to sort of play second fiddle to someone else. I think a lot of us sort of put our own needs, emotionally, mentally, what have you, on the back burner to satisfy a relationship. And for me, that has never been helpful to my mental health. So I have learned that when I state a boundary, the only person who can enforce that boundary is myself. And there are boundaries, as I mentioned, like I will be vocal, but there are types of, breaches that happen within friendships that, like, there are no strikes. It's just, this friendship is over. And that's just based on common decency and, general tenets of respect. Like if you're someone who has breached my privacy, chances are that friendship is short-lived. It'll end then and there. If you've breached my confidence, and breaching my confidence can happen in various different ways. Sometimes, if there's someone that I don't want to engage with, if you allow yourself to be an intermediary, to give access to people that I don't want to have access to me, then that friendship is over. Deception. I have absolutely zero threshold for deception, and deception can be overt or covert. I think the covert kinds are the worst. When you think that I don't know what's going on and you play innocent, and when we stop talking because there was a breach of confidence or there was a breach of privacy, you play ignorant, and I really just don't have the threshold for that, nor do I feel inclined to have a conversation about it. And it's interesting because I find that when I end these relationships, they never end quietly, right? Which is confirmation that I made the right choice. If I end a relationship with someone because there's been a breach of confidence, there's been a breach of trust, a breach of privacy, and then they go around tapping everyone in my network or in my social circles on the shoulder, trying to get access to me when I've made it very clear that I don't want to have any communication with them. For me, that means that I did the right thing. And there are people in this world, there are friends that you will have, or relationships that you will build where they love to hate you and hate that they love you. And this is definitely a them problem. Like, if we're friends, I'm your friend. Like, I love everything about you, flaws and all, and I take the time to figure out who you are, and I'm someone, once I call someone my friend, unless this breach takes place, there's no envy there, we're friends. But if you're someone who has issues with envy, or you're that person who loves to hate, they love to hate you, but they also hate that they love you, and they're kind of caught between, this rock and this hard place, and they constantly catch themselves in behaviors where they're hurting you to help you, or they're gossiping about you, or they're manipulating people in your social circles in order to get to you. These people are energy vampires. These are not people that I want in my life. I don't want these people knowing what I'm doing, where I am, what's going on in my life. And if they recognize that they can't reach me directly, then if you're in my social circle, please recognize that if they're asking you to reach out to me, then if you engage with that behavior, then I'm putting you all in the same bucket. I don't need friends who can be bought. I mean, if you're a friend that can be bought by someone that I don't want in my life to gain access to my life, then I'm very happy to do away with those friendships as well. I find that I really, especially in 2021, zero threshold for manipulative behavior. I don't like manipulative behavior. If you can't be open, if you can't be upfront, if you can't have a one-on-one conversation with me, then you're out. And why am I so rigid with this one specifically? Our relationships have a huge impact on our mental health, and betrayal is a huge event in one's life. And I think that sometimes when you're too generous with people who show up with the intent to be deceptive and to betray, then you put me in a position where I either choose your friendship or choose myself. And believe me, in every situation where I am put in a position to, where I need to choose between yourself or between you or me, I'm going to choose me. Why? Because I love me, because I'm my ally, because I need to know that I will show up for me no matter what. And if that means letting you go, I absolutely 100% without any shadow of a doubt will do that. If loving you doesn't interfere with me loving myself, then that's a friendship that will grow. It will never end. That's a friendship that I will nourish and nurture and cherish for as long as it lasts. But if it is any other form of friendship, that kind of toxicity, that kind of negativity, that kind of, manipulative behavior that kind of infringes on my sense of boundaries, that friendship has an expiration date. Too often when you're a kind human being, and I wouldn't call myself nice, I wouldn't call myself sweet necessarily, but I would categorize myself as a kind human being. People often mistake kindness for weakness, and people will either learn just by way of paying attention and observing that I am someone who is kind and absolutely not weak, or they'll figure it out the hard way. And for those who have mistaken my kindness for weakness, it's not my job to teach you how to value those around you. And I think that I felt that was my job for a while, where I thought it was my duty to kind of show you how to value me. But in my life, I've learned absolutely not. How value translates for someone when they state their boundaries, and if I'm stating my boundaries and you're disregarding those boundaries because you want me to be the puppet to your puppet mastery plan, that's just not going to fly. That's not going to go. and that relationship's going to get cut off. And in cases where I've cut off relationships and I've not given people access to me, I find it's very important, and it tells you who your real friends are in your social network. For those people who put their hand up to become intermediaries, to give people access to me when I clearly don't want that. So I wanted to, I think this is number one intentionally, because this is a huge, huge factor that lends to my mental health. And it's funny because, you know, when you're friends, how you know you've made friends with an emotional and an energy vampire is when that friendship ends. Because when that friendship ends, you know, the amount of whirlwinds and the spirals that these people create and the drama that they create, because, you know, how dare you have, you know, such audacity to end this relationship with me. And they engage everyone, and, you know, and those who get sucked into that drama, I guess it tells me, you know, what friends are just, you know, it was just about timing before those friendships were to end. Because these people kind of want to be parasitic, you know. I find that, you know, these energy vampires, they're very parasitic, and they want to latch onto you as though you're the host. And I'm not interested in being anyone's host. Like, if you're a parasitic type of human, if you're someone that likes to just take energy from other people, I give my energy selectively. And if I've chosen not to give my energy to you, I mean, that just means that we're incompatible with the way that you've shown up and disrespected my boundaries up until this point. So number one, definitely my most important, is definitely respecting your own boundaries, and consider that as an expression of self-love. Those you let go of, you create room for people who are ready to have healthy, you know, well-rounded relationships with you. So I hope that this was fun. I wanted to keep it light, but still informative. I wanted to keep it, you know, funny. I hope that it was funny. And I wanted it to be a bit personal as well, because I talk about mental health in a fairly objective way. But I want to create a link between how I manage my own mental health with the way that I communicate and discuss mental health on this channel, so that you see, you know, I walk the walk and talk the talk. And I wanted this to be light, because I know I was definitely a little on the intense side on my education videos last week. I really do hope that you had fun. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and until next time, talk to you soon.